Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Cutting Through the Bullshit. I am your host, Dr. Stephanie Snyder, and I am a high performance mentor. Through my unique blend of strategy, mindset, and intuition, I help men and women to cut through the BS in order to create the life and business they desire. I apologize. I started to get tripped up over my own words. Here we go. We are ready to rock and roll. So, I've been contemplating the idea recently, lots of ideas really, but the thing that hit me the other day, I have been reading some more finance books because I feel like I need to increase my financial literacy. So we have multiple businesses now, and I just want to make sure that we're being good stewards of all the things, right? And so I've been reading all these different books in regards to financial literacy, and most of them are biblically based, not all of them, but many of them are. And I was reading one the other day where it was talking about why you wanted to build wealth, right? And there's been, this seems to be kind of the biggest roadblock that many people have when it comes to being spiritual and wealthy, right? There seems to be kind of like, you can be one and not the other. Seems to be how people fall, and they'd rather be spiritual than wealthy. But we don't even want to hang out there. I have one of my mentors, he has a great podcast called Soul Wealth, and it's about being spiritual and wealthy, and how God actually wants us to be wealthy because we live in an abundant universe, right? And so as I'm reading these books, they've been bringing up some questions, especially because a lot of my financial views were shaped when I was a child. And so one thing that it was bringing up the other day was this idea where in the Bible we're told to leave an inheritance for our children's children. And I was contemplating on this the other day because for sure I want to leave financially an inheritance for my children's children. I want there to be enough wealth there that they have like their own bank, essentially, right? There's different ways that we're going to set this up as we get started into our trust and financial things, right? But I was reflecting on it even more today when I was journaling this morning, and the idea of leaving an inheritance to me is not just about the finance. It's about leaving an inheritance of character, of discipline, of wisdom, of kindness, of joy, of responsibility, right? There's more to an inheritance than the finances, because you can leave finances to your kids. For sure, you can leave money to your kids. But if your kids don't have the wherewithal, they haven't been taught the discipline and the responsibility and all the different characteristics that maybe you valued, if they don't inherit those as well, then the finance doesn't mean anything. It's going to be, what's the word I want? Squandered, right? And so I was reflecting on this because part of what I've been working on recently is putting together kind of like a family value, because I want these kinds of things to go into the trust document so that when my husband and I pass, they will still have guidelines for life. And I've always kind of thought it was interesting that people like record these conversations and play them to their children after they're gone. And I think my YouTube channel will suffice by then. I don't even know what will be around by then. But it was just really interesting me to have those conversations. And so how do I ensure that my children's children get this inheritance? And the way that I ensure that my children's children get an inheritance is by helping my own children. How am I helping my own children in those character traits and in the world of financial literacy, right? How am I helping my own kids first? First, how am I helping myself? Then how am I helping my own kids? Because it is absolutely a trickle-down effect, 100% period, end of story kind of a thing. And so today I really didn't want to work out. I just was feeling tired. I was feeling sluggish. I really didn't want to go for a run. And my two littles are home for spring break this week, and I said, you know what? Let's take them with me. I know it might be annoying, right, to have to keep eyeballs on someone riding a bike as well. I said, but this is fitness and nutrition is something that I want my children's children to know about. And so I've got to teach my own children about it first and emphasize these things. And they certainly know that mom is a fitness freak and she loves the nutrition, and I talk regularly about all of the crap that is added to our foods, and that's a whole conversation for another day. But I took them on a ride with me. They rode their bikes and I ran, and you can probably hear maybe some noise in the background. That is them getting ready to play some music and play with Legos, whatever it is they're doing. And so I took them I went running and they rode their bikes, and we rode up to, we went up to one of the playgrounds, and the playground is fully fenced in. And so they got off their bikes, they played on the playground, and I did laps around the playground because I needed to do a different kind of workout for my schedule today. And so I got most of my workout done when they were on the playground, and then they biked back and I ran back, and it was great. It was great that we were able to do that. And then to boot, I got a nice note from my neighbor where she was like, way to go, mama. Like, you could have used a million excuses to not do your workout today with the kids, but you decided to take them along. Kudos to you, essentially, is what it said. And I was like, that is absolutely what I needed today. And so what I really want you to begin to think about, the whole purpose of this podcast episode here, is to begin to think about why you want to build wealth. Because it's not enough just to make more money, because that's shallow, and at some point at what point is enough money for that anyways? But what kind of a legacy do you want to leave? What inheritance do you want to leave to your children's children, beyond the finances? Because the finance is only part of it. It's the character building, it's the trust in yourself, it's the relationship with your spirituality, it's the way you communicate. There are so many different other inheritances that you probably want to leave to your kids, and it starts now, being intentional with having those conversations with your own children so that those conversations are had with your children's children. And that to me was just a really eye-opening kind of contemplation that I had, that there's a list that's actually being started in my journal as to what kinds of things I truly want my children's children to inherit. How do I want to begin to shape their world now, even though maybe they're just a thought, right? And I do that with my own kids, but I do it first with myself, because I have to be the person who leads this. And so how am I leading myself? And is it in a way that I want my children to lead themselves? Because if your kid is like, oh, well, I'm being mommy, are you proud of that, or are you ashamed of it? Interesting thing to consider. So I'm sending you a lot of love. This is a short episode for today. I'm headed out. We're going to go do some fun stuff with the kids for their spring break. If the weather ever decides to cooperate, it doesn't matter. We're going to have fun anyways. We ran today. It was only 40 degrees outside. It was, gross, right? Spring is coming. Pineapple season is coming. So I'm sending you so much love. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And as always, be you, because the world needs more of you. Bye.